Hello, everyone. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown, and this is Hangout number 136. And I have to start out right away asking the people in the chat room if you can see and hear me, because I got a notice about an hour ago that YouTube was having streaming problems and you could not actually stream. And that went on for over an hour. And so I'm not sure if we're streaming. So let me know. Before I go on and talk to myself for a really long time. Let's see. Okay, so far I don't see anybody saying you can see and hear me. Somebody, are you out there? Oh, thank God. All right. All right, that's what I need to know. I've never seen that before. I've never had a time when it said I could not stream in 3 years. So there's always something new. So anyway, thank you all for being here. Got a full chat room. I said hello, I think, to almost everybody. Maybe Tonya just rolled in, Christy rolled in, and Harper, I think I already said hello, but maybe I didn't. And so hello, everybody in the chat room. And if you'd like to be in the chat room, folks, this is a patron only live, as are the shows on the weekend, 8 lives a month. Click on the description. You'll see Patreon. It's $5 for the month. Come to 8 shows and be at the live stuff. However, if you don't want to do that, after the lives are finished, a week later, everything goes public. All my videos are public. Nothing is hidden. So you don't have to join Patreon if you don't want to. You can just subscribe to the channel, get your notifications by hitting the bell, and check out all the stuff I have on all the playlists. Okay. All right. So it is now, the temperature just went up in Maryland. And of course, the air conditioning is not on yet. So when you see me sweat during the show and pass out, that's why. Yes, this is true. And I'm going to talk about, I'm going to do 2 things first. And I'm going to talk about Ken Main's channel vanishing. And he had, I think, close to 120,000, and his channel has disappeared. So I'm going to get into that in a minute. But first, because I have people here from Europe, I want to talk about 2 cases since you're still awake and you're here. So the first one is Amanda Knox. Wait a minute. No. Wait a minute. No, let me do Madeleine McCann first, because, I got 3 cases, actually, I want to talk about. So Madeleine McCann first. And Benny sent me over to this particular channel. Let me find, I haven't lost my pictures. Don't start with that already. This particular channel, which I found very interesting, is this one. It's called Heretics. And the title of this is, I'm damn sure Madeleine McCann was not abducted. And some of you who are in the UK should know who this is. It's Andrew Gold. And he had on the channel Sonia Poulton. Now, I've done stuff. I've been interviewed by Sonia before. We're pretty much on the same page. She's also on the same page as Gonzalo Amaral. And so the question, he said, well, what about this? And this is very new. This is just a couple months ago. I'm damn sure she was not abducted. And if you saw my video that I just put out about the new book coming out, the 800-page new book coming out on Madeleine McCann, and this guy sitting there giving his interview, he's in a black outfit, and he's got a black mask on, he's got truth across the chest, and it's so cheesy. And I'm like, I'm going to this looks like a grifter to me. And some people have come through and said, no, I think this guy knows what he's talking about, blah, blah. But I'm sorry, but when you come out looking like that and you have to put on some silly outfit to protect your identity, get out of here. I think that's just a stupid promo thing. And he said in his interview, he did say, first of all, he knows exactly where a body is buried. Nobody knows that. Sorry. I have a theory, but I can't say I know. So I already don't trust him. And secondly, he said that Madeleine McCann his conclusion is she's dead, but not on the day that she disappeared. He, I believe, is going with that early theory, which Amaral doesn't go with, and I don't go with, and Sonia doesn't go with, because all the evidence points to something happened that exact evening. not any of this fanciful stuff with whole bunches of people involved in all kinds of things. So I'm not thinking his book is going to be particularly good, but I did say I asked the publisher for an advance copy because they are giving out advance copies for review, but I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get my email answered, because I said, look, hey, if I find I'm wrong, I'll say that, but I don't think they're going to trust me for that. So I'm sure I'm going to have to pay for the book. But I do say when it comes out, no matter how much that stupid book costs, and hopefully it's not totally ridiculous, I will buy it and I will look at it for you and I will review it for you so you don't have to waste your money on it. If I see good things in it, he commented that the Scotland Yard investigation was a bunch of nonsense. And I agree with him on that. I agree that Maddie is probably not alive. So I'm sure some of what he says, I agree with. The question is, where is he going now? And I don't have a problem with a new person coming in and analyzing a case that I've analyzed. It's not like, oh, it's Pat Brown's only case. Nobody else can write a book on Madeleine McCann. Or, no, everybody is free to do that. I just hope that they're looking at the evidence and they're not grifters. So, and they can make money on their book. I don't mind that either. I just don't like it when I see somebody who appears to be playing some stupid game. And so, yeah, I'm not expecting a lot. What do you think of this new book coming out? Are you so far impressed? Let me see. See if for some of your comments here. Hold on a second. Miracles do happen. What miracle? What are we talking about? Madeleine McCann is going to be found alive, or this guy wrote a good book? Which one is it? Is that the miracle? And yes, Pat has accidentally blocked my email twice. I don't block emails, Alex. So I don't. Well, wait a minute. I don't block emails. There's really no way to block emails. I just put them. If I think you're a nutter or rude, I'll put you in the haters and crazy people bin. I'll do that. As far as blocking people here, yes, I will block people if they're not polite. So that's true. And so again, please be polite on this channel. When you're coming to visit, one of the reasons I do have patron only is because most of the time we have very good people coming in here and acting right. And sometimes when you do public lives, you kind of anything happens. So, but I do expect that people come here and are polite to each other and polite to me. And if they're not, yeah, then I knock you out. Although, yes, I have hit the button here accidentally. When I'm trying to click on your comment to put it on the screen, I clicked the wrong thing. I'm like, I put you in a timeout. So hopefully. What? Wait a minute. What? Wait a minute. Sarah, are you going under Alex? Now I'm getting confused now. What? Yeah, it is Sarah. Sarah, you got to stop going under aliases. You get me confused. And you make me look really stupid when I call you Sarah when the name on the screen is Alex. Oh my God. Oh, yeah, I do sometimes do that. Accidentally, though. Okay, so now this book. So I don't have a lot of great thoughts coming out for this book. I don't assume that it's going to be a good one. But so this show was really good. And then I thought it was kind of funny because Andrew Gold spoke about how he did a show with Amanda Knox, she's in the news this week as well. So, and so here he is. So he did this show with her. And then he was saying on the show with Sonia Poulton that he had done this show with her, right? And he said, let me read you what he said on the show because it just made me laugh. I just laughed so hard. He said, he did it like this. A while ago, I was also on her podcast, or he was at her place. I don't know. I was on her podcast, as well to talk about various things. So that was great fun. And she's lovely. Or is she? I'm like, oh, because the whole time he's with her, he seems to be totally in her court that she's an innocent person, that she got completely screwed. And he seems to just really love her during the show. And then he goes, or is she? So there's a little something there, which I guess maybe he has thoughts on. So, and I do have thoughts. If the Amanda Knox case, I have done an analysis. It's highly hated by many because I do not believe in her 100% innocence. Yes, I think Rudy killed Meredith Kercher and in Italy. I do think that's true. But there were things about the crime scene which did not show that Rudy could have done them. So that had to be somebody else there, or a couple of people there. And of course, the behaviors is a whole nother matter. But if I remember to link, I'll link it. But it's a lot of people, are pretty sure she had nothing to do with it. But today, the issue today is that she had when she was brought into the police station, she had said that Patrick Lamumba, her boss, was the one in the house killing Meredith, and she was hiding in the kitchen and trying to cover her ears while he killed her. And so there's a libel suit going on. Let me see if I can find that one here. Hold on a second. Yes, I go. So she's getting a retrial over slander. Okay, Amanda Knox's retrial over slander begins in Italy. She appealed for conviction to be dropped after wrongly accusing Patrick Lamumba of murdering Meredith Kercher. So, oh, come on, they just killed my show. My page. They don't want me to register. Thanks a lot. An Italian court has opened a new trial against Amanda Knox over a slander conviction. She received a wrongly accusing a bar owner of murdering the British student Meredith Kercher. So she did get convicted of that. Now it's going back to court. It's a retrial, even though she's free now and essentially spent the time there. Let me see if I can find a page that didn't knock me off of. Sometimes you can go to a page one time, and the second time you go back, then you have to, you better join. You better pay money. It's a paywall. This one too. Gee, okay. That's what it's about, because they keep blocking me. All right, so now the question is, and this is what a lot of people think, is that she was a young girl who was stressed out. The police mistreated her. She didn't get a proper interpreter. She didn't speak Italian well enough. And somehow they coerced her into naming her boss as the killer of Meredith Kercher. And of course, people will say, who speak Italian and who have lived in Italy, I don't know what I'm talking about, because if I'd knew everything about, could read Italian, could read every report, and have been to the trial, I would know better. I would know that it was the police were being bad police. However, her behaviors when she was first arriving at the police station as a witness were odd. She did the cartwheel and just acted really strange, and all her behaviors were odd. But when she talked to them, first of all, she put herself there at the time of the murder. And secondly, she put her boss there too. Two things which are pretty strange confessions, false confessions, very strange false confessions for somebody who completely wasn't there, supposedly, was with her boyfriend. And why would she pick out her boss too? Why would you do any of that? It makes so little sense. This isn't like, I can't even come up with good reason. I don't care how young you are. I don't care if you're tired. I don't care if you're freaked. That's a weird thing to confess to. So and then she wrote this retraction which people point to. She retracted it a day later when she was no longer under the pressure of the police. But I want to read some of this. And this to me has things in it. I don't know if Peter Hyatt ever examined this, but I wish he would if he hasn't done it. I forgot to look. I was going to check it out. But this is what she writes in her retraction. Where is it? Oh, sorry. Now I've lost my picture. No, I haven't lost a picture over here. I'm just trying to find out where I put it over here. Here we go. All right. November 6, 2007. In regards to this, quote, confession that I made last night, I want to make clear that I'm very doubtful of she said veridity. I think she meant veracity of my statements because they were made under the pressures of stress, shock, and extreme exhaustion. Do you see the word there that is concerning? That makes this not, I consider this deceptive and not truthful. Do you see what the word is that bothers me? Did anybody get what the word is? I'm going to check your comments on that. I'll read it again. In regards to this confession that I made last night, I want to make clear that I'm very doubtful of the veracity of my statements because they're made under the pressures. Anybody got an idea yeah, she's weird. But other than that, what word in there is the word that makes no sense to me? Come on, guys. You've been working on statement analysis with there's got to be one person in here. Aha! Thank you very much. Whoops. There. No. That's the fancy word. But no, I am doubtful. That is what sends me doubtful. Yes, doubtful. Why is this weird? She knew if she was now clear-headed, she had some sleep, she's not under pressure, she's alone, and she's going to write this. She would know she simply didn't tell the truth. She would simply say, I want to make clear that I did not tell the truth last night because I was under pressure. I made up a story. She says, I'm doubtful of the veracity. How can you be doubtful of what you said? If you said you were there and so was Patrick Lamumba, how can you be doubtful about that? It's either you were there or you weren't. You can't be doubtful. So that's the first thing that struck me. She says, however, it was under this pressure and after many hours of confusion. Okay, many hours can be tiring, but she wasn't being tortured as some like to think, and she wasn't there for like 72 hours straight or anything like that. That my mind came up with these answers. My mind came up with them. When people say my mind came up with them, that's usually a sign that they're being deceptive. Your mind just doesn't come up with them. And in my mind, I saw Patrick in flashes of blurred images. What? What were you on drug? I mean, you'd have to be drugged out to get to have that happen. You don't just sit there talking and in your mind for no reason whatsoever, your boss pops in as a killer. In flashes of blurred images, I saw him near the basketball court. I saw him at my front door. So now she's seeing a whole video of him. Okay. I saw myself. She saw herself cowering in the kitchen with my hands over my ears because in my head I could hear Meredith screaming. She is concocting now a complete fake scenario of why she said what she said. I don't believe this for a minute that that's what happened to her at the time, that these images just came into her head, so she just blurted them all out. This is why I think she was there. I don't believe her. I don't think she killed Meredith, but I think she was involved with the situation. Then she says, but I've said this many times so as to make myself clear. What things many times? I don't understand that. Okay. These things seem unreal to me, like a dream. Well, because they're not, because you made them up. That's why they're like a dream. Unsure if they are real things that happened or just dreams my mind has made up. She still doesn't know yet. She's still doubtful whether it happened or it didn't happen. And mind you, this is later. She's writing this. And she's not writing it in Italian, I don't think. I don't know. And or they're just dreams my mind has made to try to answer the questions in my head, the questions I'm being asked. But the truth is, I'm unsure about the truth. How can you be unsure about the truth? I wasn't there. It's that simple. I was not there. I don't know who killed Meredith. It wasn't me because I wasn't there. I wasn't there to see anything. Therefore, I don't know anything. I was with my boyfriend. We were nowhere near the place. What confusion could you possibly have? How could you still have questions you're trying to answer in your head about what you were doing that night? That's very odd. Let me keep going. I want to make very clear that these events seem more unreal to me than what I said before, that I stayed at Raphael's house. What? I had dreams that I was at Raphael's house, but they were dreams too, And these other ones were dreams, but these were more unreal dreams than the other one. In these flashbacks that I'm having, now she's having flashbacks. Wait a minute. She wasn't having flashbacks then. She was having dreams in her little head when she was confessing. And now she says she's having flashbacks. Why would she have flashbacks? They already happened in her head, so now she's going to redo them? In these flashbacks that I'm having, I see Patrick as a murderer, but the way the truth feels in my mind, there is no way to be known, for me to have known, because I don't remember for sure if I was at the house that night. What? You were either there or you weren't. And then she says, who is the real murderer? This is particularly important because I don't feel I can be used as condemning testimony. Oh my God, I'm freaking out a bit now because I talked to a nun and I finally remember. I'm sorry I didn't remember before, and I'm sorry I said I could have been at the house when it happened. I said these things because I was confused and scared. I didn't lie when I said I thought the killer was Patrick. I was very stressed at the time, and I really did think he was the murderer, even though you weren't at the house. And how would you know he was the murderer? But now I can remember that I can't know who the murderer was because I didn't return back to the house. Oh, so after all that, now she says she didn't go to the house. And along with the physical evidence at the scene, I will still say, to me, the evidence supports that she, and likely her boyfriend, but at least she, were at the scene at some point in time, especially, I can't go through all the details here, but Rudy was not alone, at least not the whole time, or, certain points. But that whole thing there is that is not a retraction at all. And she still seems to be unsure of whether she was at the house or she wasn't at the house, or if Lamumba did it or he didn't do it, or why she saw these. I mean, yeah, she's doubtful. You can't be doubtful of that. I mean, it's just, that's pretty simple. I understand that if you were, how do I put this? Let's say you go to a party and you get trash drunk, maybe do some drugs along with it, and you're at a whole loud party. You go into a back room with somebody and you're really out of it. Well, when you wake up, the person's dead. Now you can be doubtful about what happened because, first of all, you were at the party. You were in the room. You just don't know how the person ended up dead next to you. That's what you're doubtful about. But to be doubtful that you were even there and saw this whole thing go down, that's just nonsense. So I don't understand quite how people think she's 100% innocent. So it doesn't matter if she's immature. I was a college student too, and I'm not going to be accusing people who didn't do it. And as I point out, Sarah, the thing to remember here is this was done as a retraction later when she was not in the police station. So she wrote this later. This is so bizarre, and it just reeks of deception along with the physical evidence. And remember, there's physical evidence as well, not just this alone, physical evidence as well. And a whole bunch of stuff that it's not so simple, because I know a lot of people would like to say she simply wasn't home. She was with a boyfriend. She came back and found something bad. No, that is not the way it's true. But You'll feel free to disagree. Do you think she's totally innocent? A lot of people do. I just don't. And I read her book, and I still didn't think she was innocent after I read her book. I saw a sign of personality disorder right there. And she's learned to manipulate the media these days. She comes across really nicely now, like a really, she's had a couple kids and all this stuff. But when I read her book, I was not convinced she was innocent after reading her book. And I could still see the things that bothered me about her all the way through her book. So, but that's my thoughts on that. Well, they're both people that, in case of Amanda Knox, she was, I don't think she was beautiful, but I think she was pretty. And she's young. And you just think, oh, come on. She wouldn't have done that. As far as Kate McCann goes, I think she really was beautiful. But she's not so much now. She's just aged, but I think she was quite lovely at the time. And in that case, one that says, oh, she's lost her child and she's destroyed, and I don't want to think anything else. I would feel badly thinking that the child wasn't abducted. Sometimes you just feel bad, because you feel sorry for the people involved, because if they didn't do anything, yeah, it would be horrible. It would truly would be horrible. Because she's selfish and scared for life did not help. Yeah, well, I don't know if we're talking about Amanda Knox at that point. I think the early interview, that probably was not true. Later on, I can get it. Yeah, but I just wanted to read that to you because I think people have forgotten what she said, and that's why she was found guilty of slandering poor Patrick Lamumba. And people forget about Patrick Lamumba because not only was he in prison for jail for 2 weeks, he lost his business and he had to leave the country. He now lives in Poland with his wife. But what a sad situation for Patrick Lamumba. And it's like, I can't, it's hard to come up with any reason why for her to do that. Even there's no reason why the police would even push Patrick Lamumba as a person who did it. I mean, none of it makes sense. So to me, she coming up with that story and then saying she still doesn't know if it's true or not after the fact. I'm sorry. I would love Peter Hyatt to go through that one, but yeah. So that's that. Everything's, of course things are frightening, when people say, oh, well, they were frightened, that's why they did what they did. There are things frightened people do, and there are things that frightened people don't. Oops, sorry, not what that one. For him, sorry, for her. So I was saying she was also frightened, I'm sure, for either because she some terrible thing had just happened and she's scared, or because she did something and she's scared. As far as Patrick Lamumba, must have been terrified that this girl he hired in the bar was nice enough to give her a job. And then she turns around and says he murdered a girl. Thank God he had an alibi. It took a while for somebody to come up, a legitimate person to come up with his alibi. But thank God he had one, or he would have gone down. Poor guy, and to accuse another person of homicide. I'm sorry. I can't, you could beat me for 3 days. I'm not going to suddenly just say that poor guy over there, my guy who hired me, my boss did it. I got problems with that. So, and I'm not saying she couldn't have been that kind of person, but I say this statement that I just read to you, which was not done under duress, is not really a retraction because she's still not sure of what happened. And there's no way that she could not be sure. She was either there or she wasn't. It's that simple. All right, let me see. I want to talk also about, what's the next one I want to talk about? Let's see. Okay. I was asked to take a look at this crime. And after this, I'm going to go to, I got to do that one. I'm going to do the Europe ones first. And I'm going to go to Delphi. And I'm also going to go to what happened with Ken Main's channel. Because this one I'm going to tell you here is fairly short, simply because I really can't do too much about I know there's a description of it, this particular case. So I'm not even going to try to pronounce her name. Okay, there she is. I can't pronounce her name. Iwona or something like that. I'm not going to definitely not try for the last name. So this is an unsolved case, and it's basically driven people nuts for years. Unsolved case in Poland, and it happened in 2010, still not solved. And you see, these are some pictures of her. She had gone to a bar, and now you see her walking down the street, and that's a possible suspect. So I'm going to read you the basic of the case. I'm going to tell you where the basic thing I see about this. So whatever her name is, was a 19-year-old woman who had just graduated high school. On 16th of July, 2010, she decided to go out for a party with her friends in another place I can't pronounce the name of, S-O-P-O-T, Sopot or something like that, Poland. Sorry, I did not listen to a whole video of this and then practice the pronunciations because this is a hangout. Around midnight, she and her friends went to a nightclub. There, supposedly, an argument happened between her and some other colleagues. Around 3 a.m., she decided to leave and go home. She texted her female friend, angry that she didn't follow her. These were the times when a high school graduate didn't have a lot of money, so probably for that reason, she skipped the cab and went on foot. Okay, so she was supposed to go to her friend's house, and she texted a friend, and the friend said the keys are outside. The keys will be outside for you. And then she texted her mother to tell her mother she wasn't going to come home that night. She's going to stay at her friend's house, probably because she'd been drinking a lot and she didn't want her mother to see her drunk. So anyway, she decided not to take any transport. And so it was 3.5 kilometers, 2 miles away. So she's going to walk for 40 minutes to get where she's going. And if you look here at the top, you'll see that that's where she started off. And then her home is at the bottom right. And you also see that there's footage of a camera along the way. And it shows I'm not sure what I think it's following the kind of a weird map. But she's walking along the water, as far as I know. Just walking along. It's a pretty little area. You can see here. It's kind of a wide path, which looks comfortable to walk on. It's smooth, and so it's like things that go along the harbor or wherever. So she started walking. Her phone died in the meantime. At 4:12, a camera registered her about 20 minutes of walk from her home. So she got 2/3 of the way when the camera caught video of her walking. And but this time she was alone the whole way. So basically there was nobody following her until about that point. And then there was this guy walking behind her. And he supposedly looked like that. He had a towel over his shoulder. And it's the last time she was seen alive. And she's never been found after that. So there's a lot of theories about her friends doing her in. And it gets very, very convoluted. It's one of those things, again, I say to people, the reason I don't do certain cases, I would have to get reports from the police reports. I have to get them translated to English. I would have to do so much research that I'd have to write a book about it and get it in advance, But for a YouTube show, it's just really not too much I can say because I cannot run down the truth of a lot of stuff. But I'll say this, and to me, this is what's most likely. She walked out of that club and was walking by herself along this area. And she's a pretty young girl, and she vanishes 20 minutes from the house. I believe that somewhere along the way, clearly she was snatched by somebody. She either was snatched by somebody, and the guy behind her, I question only because where's his car? He's got to have a vehicle because she was never found in the area. So I think that's kind of odd. So I would think somebody has to have a vehicle. Now it's possible he was behind her and then came upon his vehicle and grabbed her. But somewhere along the way, I think she has to get into a street situation. Let me look over here. Say there's a part where she then walks, and I don't have all the visuals of that. I would think it's much more likely a friend could have pulled up at a certain point. One of the guys at the bar could have pulled up and said, hey, I'll drive you the rest of the way home instead of walking 20 more minutes. I'll give you a lift. Is that possible? Yes. Or is it possible somebody just grabbed her because she had been drinking and she's not doesn't look like she's a big fighter. She's walking, holding her shoes in her hand, but never been found. So I don't have an answer on it. I just think that obviously she was snatched or she got into somebody's vehicle, and it just goes on and on. They have not found her. And there's a lot of questions about, different people saying things, but there's a lot of gossip too. And I looked through a lot of things, and people would say this, and then the next person comes in and says that is not accurate. And then they would point out the evidence that was not accurate. And this is what you run into when you're looking at a lot of these cases, is you get so much gossip from one place that you don't even know what real truth is. So it gets extremely tricky. A really good example of that, as a matter of fact, is, okay, let me look at my pictures here. The girl that went off the cliff, and that would be, where is she? I think it's this one. Wait, hold on. Not her. Okay, this would be the case of Lauren, I can pronounce her name, Aji. Another one, if you don't have, it's this girl here, I believe that's her face. I was asked to look into this because she is one of these cases where she went camping in 2015. She went with her friends, and they camped on the edge of a steep cliff overlooking a lake, and she ends up off the cliff. Now, interesting enough, according to her family, she's actually one to pick the location next to the cliff. So she obviously liked that. So it wasn't like she was scared to get near the cliff. She was actually one of these people that, I don't know, it was beautiful. We were right there. We can look over. And so anyway, supposedly they had these hammocks, and then she disappeared. And they woke up in the morning and she was gone. Investigators believe she fell from the cliff into the water, resulting in her death. They found her body several hours later. A fisherman found her body. Now, like the Riley Strain thing, family doesn't believe that she fell in accidentally. She says she refuses to accept the findings. She believes her daughter was murdered. Now, what she says, and this is where you get the confusing information, so I don't know where to go with it. The district attorney said, I have not only agreed with reopening the case for review, I have encouraged it. My department has already and will continue to give any available resources that my department can give to the district attorney general's office. So they actually supposedly were willing to reopen it. But here is where it gets questionable. He says there appears to be insufficient evidence to charge anyone with criminal responsibility for her death. So they have not found that there's evidence of that. Now, her body was found face down in the water behind the bluff where her hammock was. So, but the medical examiner's autopsy report concluded her death was accidental, with a cause of death determined as multiple blunt force injuries. If you fall off a cliff, you might have multiple injuries. Now, the pathologist further informed the investigating detective that her injuries were consistent with a fall. The autopsy report further showed multiple injuries to the back of her head, spine, and back, and the possible drowning as well. Now, the family comes along. They get an independent, it says here, I'm just going to say, it says, another review was later conducted by the family's independent pathologist, which reportedly found that her larynx was crushed. That's why the family thinks she was choked. All right. Now here comes back the detective saying this, the sheriff. As far as being choked, as a family member has claimed, the photographs taken during this investigation show no marks or bruising around her neck. And the medical examiner's report supports the detective's findings. Her larynx was not crushed. All right. Then the family says this. The family hires a private detective. And he raised the issue that the autopsy photo apparently showed an imprint on her midsection that could be the outline of a stern of a canoe, suggesting that her body may have been placed on a canoe after her death. What? So basically what they're trying to say now is that in the middle of the night, her friends beat her to death, then carried her down to the, not off the cliff, but they carried her somehow down some path all the way down to the water's edge, found a canoe and put her in it. Just, it makes no sense to me. And then the sheriff said this. The imprint is identical to the TWRA boat storage lid where her body was placed face down during transport to the boat ramp. Now, so we're seeing two sides. We're seeing the sheriff's department saying there's no crushed larynx, that the imprint is something from the body recovery, and yet the family is saying, oh my gosh, she was beaten to death and put in a canoe. I tend to lean at this point toward the sheriff's department. I don't know what pathologists they had. I don't have to see that report. I would like to see both reports side by side. So unless I can do that, it's just, yeah. Could she have been shoved off the cliff? Well, she could. It's more likely she was pushed off the cliff than anybody beat her to death, because, you know, that's how people fall off cliffs. You get in an argument with somebody and they go like this and you go down. Then it looks like you fell off the cliff, and you can't blame anybody because you don't, if nobody's going to say, oh, he did it, he's the one that pushed her. Or maybe two people could be sleeping and she could have gotten into an argument with the one guy and he shoves her off the cliff and just goes back to bed and pretend it didn't happen. She could have been murdered. But I don't believe she was beaten, carried down, choked and carried down. That's all nonsense to me. So unless the family has true proof, and I just don't see it at this point. But this is the problem when you're outside an investigation and people get on the internet and the family says this and this private eye says this and blah, blah, blah. You just get information from everywhere. And you know, you can go on Reddit and you can, you know, do YouTube videos, just, you know, 50 of them to look into the possibility, you know, that something happened when you don't have any more evidence from any place legit that you can draw some conclusions from. So I don't know. I didn't see anything about the both autopsies. I couldn't find them. So not that I tried that hard at the moment. Well, it would be an accidental death if nobody pushed her, you know. But what she, again, are you talking about Nancy Eng's canoe? Oh my God. Yeah, the hammock issue. I've been in, what happened? Did I put somebody in timeout? No, don't tell me I did that. What happened here? Oh, there we go. I would never be in one of those hammocks. Yeah, I remember I was in a hammock in Tikal in a jungle of Guatemala, and we were this little tour group, and they put us in, gave us hammocks, and my husband, maybe that's why I became an ex, hung up my hammock for me. In the middle of the night, that thing let go, and I slammed down on the ground, knocked all the wind out of me. I still remember that. Very painful. Yeah, like, hope he didn't do that on purpose. But other than that, it was comfortable till that moment. Then it was unpleasant. All right, I want to talk about Ken Mains because I have been asked 2 questions about the Ken Mains thing that's going on. Ken Mains' channel has vanished off of YouTube, and it was kind of shocking when I heard that. I was like, "What?" So, in case you know, this is Ken Mains. He had Unsolved No More. His channel, Unsolved No More. People ask me 2 things. 1, what do I think happened? 2, am I happy it happened? That he's off of YouTube. I'll go with 2 first. No, I'm not happy it happened at all. I did have I personally, people have different viewpoints of every person who is on YouTube. I don't think he particularly was enamored with me. I think he said some interesting things. So sure, he didn't use my name, but like, you know, if a person didn't work at the FBI and she, you know, maybe they don't know what they're talking about. So, but, you know, But I had no problem with what he was, his analyses. Didn't always agree with them. That's okay. Again, Patrick Swayze again, opinions vary. Sometimes we agree totally on certain cases, and there's some cases we thought differently. And this is a valuable thing to have as long as people explain how they came to their conclusions. This is one reason I like Ken Mains, because he does explain. He sits there calmly and he explains a case. Now, sometimes I know more about a case than he does, and I know, okay, that's not quite accurate. And sometimes I'm sure he'll know more about a case than I do, and he'll think the same thing. I appreciate he puts in as much time as he can, which seems a reasonable amount of time that he puts, the effort he puts in to get information about the cases. So I think that's good. So of the many people on YouTube, actually, he was one of the contributors that I was pretty much happy he was there, except for this. The creepo from Death Row. He was doing a whole series of shows, Redemption from Death Row, and he was promoting a killer who is, in my opinion, a psychopath and a half. I've read the killer's book. I don't want to promote him, so he's just. But for some reason, Ken Mains hooked up with this guy and was doing shows with him, and he was allowing this guy to profile. Now, mind you, I don't think Ken Mains appreciated my profiling ability, but he'll put a psychopathic killer on there to do it. And he wasn't just talking about life in prison. That I get. But he was actually profiling Delphi and Idaho and all these crimes as if he was some kind of expert because he's a killer. Oh, but see, he's not that kind of killer. He was he made a mistake when he was young. That was no mistake. That was a sign of a psychopath, what he did to his girlfriend's mother. But he's been in prison. He's done artwork. Okay, so what? But now he's this like little, prison, one of those people like to point to, killers who somehow reformed and become great people. And Ken seems to fall into that group. But I was pretty appalled that he would put this guy on a show and basically have him profiling and having people believe. And I seen some of his profiles where they were dumb. I was like, that's not true. That didn't happen. But Ken Mains was like, yeah, that's very interesting. I'm like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be a detective. Don't put this guy on. That sent me around the bend. That pissed me off, really. And I said, you should stop doing it, Ken. Stop doing that. Do not promote this guy. And do not if you don't want to have me on your show, I don't do other people's shows. But if you want to promote profiling and other analyses, I'm sure there are actual non-killers out there like myself who you can have, if you want them on your show, they'll come on your show and give good analyses, not a killer, not that psycho. So I found that very disturbing because people were buying into this. Oh, we love this guy. Oh, he's such a great guy. I'm like, I want to throw up. So a lot of people were really into it, and I did not like that. However, and I didn't know why he was doing it, whether it was just because it got attention, because it got him lots of subscribers. I didn't know if he was gunning for a TV show, because I know he loves to get TV shows. I didn't know if he was gunning for one of those, detective and killer work together to solve crime type of shows. But outside of that, which really ticked me off, the rest of his stuff I was fine with. And so, no, I don't want to show off of YouTube, because it was one of the better shows. And that upsets me, because I'd like to see some shows that do analysis, crime scene analysis, coming from professionals. Now, there are some people who are mean about him. This guy, Ken Mains is a fraud. Oh my God, this guy comes on there and he trashes him into the ground. And the things he says about him are just, he talks about his ego, which I do agree he has. And he says he's big into Hollywood, which is true. But then he trashes him on so many other points that I'm pretty sure he would do the same with me. Pat Brown is a fraud. And just the kind of thing was like, for some reason he doesn't like him, and he's decided he's going to tear him into little shreds. Yeah. So, but I think he has one of the more. I don't have to go on about how much a background he has in cold case work or how long he was a detective. If he's had training to any extent and worked in the field, hey, if I think your analyses are reasonable, okay. Okay, so what happened to Ken Main's channel? It just vanished, and it was kind of shocking. So there's three possibilities. One, it was demonetized by, it was tossed by YouTube. YouTube shut his channel down. That's one possibility. I can't see a good reason why they would have done that. Now, if you violate community, whatever the stupid rules are these days, and if you're stealing people's stuff, if you're certain politics will get you knocked off. But I can't see anything in his show. His show is very similar to mine. He doesn't show gory crime scene photos. I haven't seen him say things that I would think would get him chucked off of YouTube. So I find that hard to believe. Theoretically, they could have demonetized his channel. I don't know why they would do that either. Again, they might demonetize a video here and there, which they do to me. They've demonetized every once in a while. They don't like what my video, the advertisers won't like it because I used a word I shouldn't use, talked about something I shouldn't have talked about, or the story is just too icky, especially when it comes to children. I used to get demonetized a lot. It's way better now, way better. I get demonetized fairly rarely, and so much less than I used to. In the beginning, they demonetize you a lot, which really pisses you off when you're trying to build your channel and survive. And over time, they do it less and less, like you become useful to them or something. So if they demonetized his channel for any reason, the whole channel, I could see why he would say, screw it. Because if they demonetize it, he loses all his advertising income, which would be a blow. Now, he'd still get some kind of, if he has some subscribers, not YouTube subscribers, but like Patreon, there's also YouTube. You join YouTube, whatever, and you pay some money to him. And he's got those people. And if that's enough to keep going, okay. But if they demonetize his whole channel and he saw his income drop 4/5, he might say this is just not worth doing anymore. So possible, but I don't find that likely. Another thing people say is because he has this ego issue and he gets bent out of shape, he about people saying things about him, like the guy I just showed you. But would he dump his whole channel because of that? I personally doubt that. Cutting off the comments, I kind of understand that. I do. I get that. Let's see. I want to read something he said about the comment issues that he's fed up with. He says that I would often read books and watch TV programs about Dr. Henry Lee or Dr. Cyril Wecht on their findings or on cold cases. I would never challenge them, and I would never publicly disagree with them. Now, I think that's a little extreme. I think you can somewhat disagree. Why? Because back then, he's saying back in the day when he was an amateur, because I was an amateur and they were professionals, and it would be disrespectful to do so. End of period, end of story. So he's saying before he became what he became, he wouldn't have gone public and said, oh, that guy's wrong, when the guy was a professional. All right. This isn't how it is anymore because of the internet and social media. Yet that's just me. I would never, ever be that disrespectful to professionals like that in a field of study. Today, because of the internet and social media, you have all these amateurs, and he's talking about you guys, unless you're in the field. Most people who come to my show, most of my subscribers, most of my patrons are not. I would love to get more detectives. I would like to get more people who are in criminal justice. Maybe some people worked in the field, but a lot of people are getting into the field. They're beginners in the field. They want to learn, or they're not in the field at all and just want to understand crime better and crime scene analysis. So that's where the amateur label comes in. And he says, today, because of the internet, you have all these amateurs who play detective. And some of them, that is scary to me. I think on my channel, I don't want anybody playing detective. I have no problem with people thinking and all that kind of stuff. Playing detective, like going out into the real world, like you see on some of these people doing these days, that is completely wrong. But he says this. He says he's good at that. Just think at the thinking part of it. I like to play lead singer sometimes when I'm alone in my car. Just because I like to play it doesn't mean I'm good at it, but it's fun. Okay? But then the same people will get on my page, and he puts MY, my page, and comment about how they disagree with me or how wrong I am in my assessments. This just totally blows my mind. Now, he says, I don't go on Axl Rose's page and tell him how his voice sucks and I could do better than him. That's disrespectful. Same like going to a sporting event and heckling the people who are working so hard to play. I think that's wrong too. I agree with that. I think a lot of professionals have this opinion about social media and the internet and those idiot people, but they're just afraid to say it, and I'm not. Just because somebody's famous doesn't give you the right to treat them with disrespect, and that I guess is also true. So what he's saying, it goes on for quite a while, and I agree with him on this because people ask why I block people. I do it because don't be disrespectful to me. You can disagree with me. You can say, I think this way, Pat, but I am a professional. So I do have a level where if somebody comes in and is like almost bullying me and I have to believe, I'm saying this, Pat, and you're completely wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. You haven't done the research. You haven't done this. You haven't done that. Block, because I don't have to take it. It's my channel. And I will block you. I will block comments if I see them because it's rude. And I would never go to somebody else's channel. I've never gone over to Ken's main. I did speak up on the killer guy on my channel. And I don't think that's disrespectful because I thought what he was doing with that guy was disrespectful. So I thought I had, like him, I thought I should speak up. But I never went to his page and commented. I've never been to anybody else's pages and put a negative comment on. That's their home. And I'm not going to mess with their home. So I agree with him on that. And he says, again, this is why I turned off comments on YouTube, not for the idiot trolls, but because of the disrespectful people who think they know how to fix a transmission because they watched a video one day and now they want to comment on a mechanic's page that he is doing it wrong, even though the mechanic has been fixing transmissions for 30 years and considered one of the top mechanics in the world. Disrespect. I guess I just don't fit in this new social media age where everybody can just spout off without repercussions. And everyone has an opinion, and they are an expert in everything in every field. So anyway, that's why he killed his comments. Some say it's because he's thin-skinned, and I personally never saw people saying that many bad things about him on his channel. I mean, nobody called him an old crone. I get called way worse names. I'm sure he ever got called because I'm a female, because I'm older, because I was not law enforcement. I get a lot of negative comments. And I didn't see him getting them unless he was just working overtime, knocking off all the bad comments, but I didn't see it. But I guess he just got to the point where it was unpleasant for him to look at and he decided, screw it. And so he blocked it, and he has every right to do that. And I kind of like comments on people's pages. I like them. I don't know. It feels like it's alive. When I go to a page and it says comments are blocked, no comments on this video, I almost feel like I'm gone blind. I can't see what people are thinking. And I kind of want to know. I mean, I'm going to watch the video, and sometimes I'll see the people are acting foolish and I'll go, okay, whatever. But I don't know. I would, if I had a page with no comments on it, it would bother me. I feel like I was working in a closet or something. But he had the right to do that, and he did it. And he continued to have. He had a small group behind the scenes, kind of like Patreon, where he was there. He was talking to those people. So I don't think he got so thin-skinned he shut his whole channel down because he got, couldn't take it anymore. I think he shut the comments off, and now I think he had his channel the way he wanted the channel. So I don't think he closed down for that reason. And he was over 100,000 subscribers, so he was making a good living. He was making a really good living. He had more than twice as many subscribers as I do, and he's got way more views per video than me. So my channel is now I'm not becoming rich, but at least I can sustain it now. But he can double to triple sustain his. So he was making good money. I don't think he's just going to toss that money out the window. Even if he got a TV show or something, he wouldn't have to shut his channel down. Let's say he was going to be super busy and suddenly wasn't going to be able to do anything for a while, he could just say, guys, I got a TV show I got to film for the next 3 months. I'll be back in June. He could do that. And he would lose subscribers, and he would not make as much money because he's not doing new shows. He'd make some money, And then when he was ready to come back, he just could roll back in. Same thing would be true if he just got, burned out, which many YouTubers get burned out. They just can wake up one day and say, I just can't do this freaking channel this week, or I need a month off. I just can't look at it anymore. I can't think about it anymore. Can't come up with ideas anymore. He could have gotten burned out, but he doesn't have to take his channel down. He just says, I'm going on vacation. So I don't think he shut his channel down. I find that unbelievable. Now, the third choice is that his channel got hacked. And that's what he says happened. He says his channel got hacked. Now, it's kind of funny because he just started sponsoring this program. These people are his new sponsor, and they're all about hacking. So I'm not sure how that all worked out. But he says, let me find the thing he said about the hacking. And there's still something odd about this, though. He said somehow, and I never like the word somehow. It always makes me wonder why do you say somehow? Sometimes it's deceptive. It's like, I don't want to tell you the reason, but there's a reason. Somehow our unsolved No More channel has been hijacked and may be lost for good. Somehow they were able to circumvent all the security features YouTube and Google had in place to prevent this from happening. Our data protection company, Aura, caught it. Well, he's got he's got this new protection company, but it wasn't protected. It didn't protect his channel. But the hackers found another way in and did some major damage. Seems deliberate to me, as you tend to make a few enemies in this line of work. Okay, first of all, most hackers hack just because they do it to sell Bitcoin or just to be annoying. I just found that I've never had anything hacked until recently. And I just found out my two blogs, The Daily Profiler and Women in Crime Inc., were both hacked. And it's on Blogger. Whenever you can go to the front page, but when you go to the links to click on it, it goes to this stupid thing that's, just an ad that nobody will ever click on. It's one of these weird things. Just you're like, what the heck? It's on every single link on both sites. And when I went to Blogger, those blogs don't appear as my blogs now. I can't fix them. So now I'm going to have to find a specialist to see if he can get in and I can get my blogs back. Otherwise, I've lost them for good. And that's very upsetting because I got a lot of stuff on those blogs. I mean, I worked, there's so much I've written over the years. I don't have backups on that. So they'll just be gone. That would be very upsetting. But I don't think anybody deliberately came in to ruin my blogs. I don't believe anybody came in deliberately to ruin his YouTube channel, because quite a few channels have been. I've looked it up. They have been hacked, and it's frightening. I'm frightened because, wow, I can't imagine. I've worked here for 3 years to build this channel and to get stuff that I want out there. I do have all my videos backed up as videos, but still I lose everything. I lose my whole channel, all my subscribers. My income disappears overnight. And then I have to start over trying to what? Do I just start a new channel and try to build it back up for another 3 years? That's really difficult. So he says here, sorry for the inconvenience to our 112,000 subscribers. And I hope one day we can get the channel back. But talking to any human support nowadays is virtually impossible. That's true. Take care and God bless, Ken. The thing I find odd about this, it's the most likely reason that I can, at the moment, unless he did something that pissed off YouTube. He's very mild-mannered about this. This guy just lost his entire, I don't know if he's got other income, but he lost a whole huge income. Huge income. I don't think anybody would be okay if they were working someplace making 70, 80,000 a year and they walked in one day and just said, too bad, they get fired. In other words, he was like fired, lost his entire salary. And he's very mild-mannered about it. Sorry for the inconvenience. I hope one day we'll get the channel back. I would be livid. I would be beyond livid. I would, yeah. I'd have it. His diatribe about people saying mean things to him, that's a diatribe that went on for 3 pages. This is a short paragraph. He seems way more upset about it, people being rude to him, than he is about losing his entire channel. So anyway, I'll go to your thoughts on that. But it's strange. it's a strange one. I mean, I was like, what? So, let's see. This is true. This whole thing about, they get into this whole thing about prisoner art, and it's a way to advertise it. And everybody, killer art, people love killer art. It's like, I know the guy murdered somebody, but look, he made a pretty flower pot. And most of the time, some of the time, their work is perfectly decent. But is it any more special than the non-killer down the block? Why don't those people? Hey, I do art, right? Are they putting my art in the gallery? No, because I didn't kill anybody. Yes, he posted this on it. The explanation is on his Facebook page. That is correct. Let me hold on a second. What are you saying here? Okay. Oh, okay. Last week you mentioned you were demonetized. What exactly does it take to get demonetized? If you do now demonetize, I'm just talking about a video. Getting a whole channel demonetized is a whole nother ball of wax. If I do a video like the Dardine video, the Dardine family who was brutally murdered, I demonetized that myself. I didn't ask to be monetized because I knew they were going to demonetize it because it was such a gruesome crime. They would just demonetize it. And then what happens is that whole video gets no ad revenue. And believe you me, the ad revenue is not as good as people think, but it is the only thing outside of Patreon that keeps a channel going. I mean, you work 40, 50 hours a week on a channel, and I've done videos, and I'm like, some of them I make $5 on, $10. I mean, and I've worked 8 hours putting the video together and doing it, and I get $10. I'm like, whoa, yeah. But what happens is as you get more subscribers, more views, that $10 will become maybe $20 on a video that you do. And over time, you have a number of videos, maybe some are popular and they still make money. My Madeleine McCann video still earns money, even though it's 3 years old now. But still more people go there. So every once in a while, I look down and say, oh, it's still making money. So if you get I have 600 videos, I think, and most of them can sit there and make 5 cents. But then there's some that do better. And so in order to keep the channel going, you have to have your channel has to be monetized or you will starve to death. So when the beginning, many of my videos, they just demonetize. So we're not going to give you money for this. You can't have ads on your video. And sometimes they'll do that for politics. And they'll do that for, if you talk about certain things that people do, like become unalive, as people always say these days, that'll get you demonetized on that video. Certain words will get you demonetized. Certain pictures will get you demonetized. And then you can get demonetized. The whole channel can be demonetized. And they've done that to people. And usually it's political, and they'll just decide that the whole channel, they can't make any money at all. So you can have 100,000 subscribers, but you don't have any income. You can't keep going. So yeah, that's what demonetization is. Doesn't it usually have a little, like a placer saying this channel broke the rules, so it's deleted when you click the link? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure. Does he have Twitter? Yes, he does. Yeah, you can go to Twitter. He's on there, and I haven't seen any updates on what happened. Let's see. We're not amateurs. We've been trained by Pat. Yeah, I hope so. I hope that takes you out of that status. And as you get more and more trained, you get more and more rights to come back and say, Pat, you said this, and I've learned from you. And then you can knock me over with my own theories. Oh, Lord. Yes, he did do that. That was the last thing he did, was this deep dive on this. And some people think because he was doing all this and supposed investigating and really getting into things that somebody hijacked his channel due to that. I don't think that's true either. I think most stuff that happens when you get hacked is just, it's kind of just like people like to do arson, or people who just like to destroy something. I mean, it's just fun for them. It's pretty sad, and it's scary because I don't know how my blogs got hacked, but now how do I get that back? All that work, oddly, I can see the blogs on my iPhone, but I can't go to what do they call it, the web page. On a regular a laptop, I can't. I just have to go to the web page, and then I see the front page, and then everything I click on won't go there. On my iPhone, I can see the actual website, and I can scroll through. I can't go to links still, but I can scroll through, at least see some of the stuff, and find if I can go directly to the page. So I found I was able to find a few Madeleine McCann things and a few of my Superbike things, and I got the web addresses of those and emailed them to myself. So if I want somebody to be able to see it, I can at least put that there, and they can go directly to the page. But if you click on any link, it just goes to some, a black page with says a few lines on it, and it's on every single page. So it's obviously something that they hacked my thing with, and it's stupid. So doesn't make any sense. I don't know if it's fixable, but quite upsetting. Just like, somebody comes in and burns your house down. It's kind of upsetting. Let's see. Well, let me go back up here. Let's see. Well, yeah, you're one of the 112,000. So, yeah, I think it's a shame. Unless he did something himself, I just don't understand his very, very calm demeanor on it. I find it just, that's the only thing that makes me wonder if he was hacked, because of the calm demeanor. And he's more upset about people saying mean things than he is about losing his entire channel. It's kind of funny. It's just, but it is, but I did check out, some people have lost their channels through hacking. So, and it's true that if you go to YouTube and try to get your channel back, I don't know how hard that is. And I don't know that they respond. Kind of like a lot of things you can't. I mean, I lost my first YouTube channel when Google took over, and I asked them over and over, it's my channel, and I couldn't get it back. So I did lose that channel. It's still on YouTube. I just couldn't access it. So I had to start a completely new channel. I could have kept that channel. I already had subscribers on that channel from all the years I was on television, but I couldn't get into it because when Google took over, they did something weird with all the passwords and stuff, and I was never able to get it back. So, and they never responded. So there you go. And say these things are, I really liked him, but disagreed with him on the JonBenet Ramsey case. He didn't think the parents would do something like that. So, people have differing views. And what I'm happy to hear is if they can explain why they think certain things, because, we're not always right. And one day I might look at one of his videos and go, I think he's got good points on this. Maybe I need to go look over something again and see whether I'm wrong on that. Yeah, I mean, so that, it's there's no reason why there can't be more than one point of view. And he didn't come across as a grifter, he didn't just, he did he was good about not doing like 50, 60, 100 cases on one thing and getting all the gossip. He didn't do any of that. So I respect him for that. And yeah, I'm sorry that is not there, because I would like to see more channels like that. Peter Hyatt's Peter Hyatt's channel is fine. I really like that. DD, Deception Detective, right now is doing some very interesting work. So, you know, I try to be, as long as something I think is beneficial to people, I like it to stay there. And even a good storyteller, even if it's a channel that tells a story well about a certain case, because on occasion, that's the only place I can get my information. And if they've already done the work to research it and find the pictures and the documents, and they do a story, I mean, generally speaking, I don't like to listen to true crime channels because they bore me. I just don't need to hear more stories. And I don't want to hear slow stories. But that's just me. But sometimes I have used those channels. And I have some that I particularly like. One I just shouted out the other day. I always forget the name of his channel too. But I've been to his channel because I needed information. He's very good at getting it. And I have recommended his channel quite often. And he's not a detective, but he does a very good job on research. So, yeah. Let's see. Just trying to see what. You know, but just because some people didn't like him for whatever he was saying doesn't mean they're going to be able to hijack your channel. That takes a heck of it. The way that he's claiming that it was done, it's a very high level. It's very high level. They do go completely around all the security barriers and manage to take the channel to the point where you can't even see it and you can't access it in any way, shape, or form. So that's pretty high level. And they said they did a lot with Bitcoin, but usually they take the channel and then put Bitcoin on it. You know, so you go to the channel Ken Mains and, you know, you're rerouted and you're not getting a nice song and you're not being, what is it? I'm just blanking on it. When you've been, what's the name of that great song? And you've been, what is it? Well, I can't remember how to say it. You've been, wait a minute. You've been, what is that called? Oh, yes. You've been rickrolled. That's what it is, rickrolled. Rickrolled. I mean, that's funny. If you say, oh, go to this link, you go there and you're being rickrolled and you get to hear this great song, you know, Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley. That's hysterical and it's funny and it's not harmful. But when you go to your channel, if I get up tomorrow and I go to my channel and I see Bitcoin being sold on my channel, and that's all that's on my channel, I'm going to be a wee bit upset. So hold on a second. What the heck is going on here? Okay. So I thought somebody was inviting me for dinner, like my daughter, but that's not happening. Let's see. I want to be Pat Brown when I grow up, or old. One of those ways. Social media is bitter. Well, you know, I just did a show on bullying, bullying in general, and on social media. That's a Dear Profiler, Pat, and you have to decide for yourself what is healthy for you and what is not healthy for you. It's like anything. It's like if you watch the news every day and the news depresses you because, my God, the world is coming to an end and there's wars every place, and maybe you don't want to watch the news. You know, maybe you want to do something else. You don't have to watch the news. And if you say, well, I have to know things, okay, then give yourself 15 minutes to look at Google. That's what I do. I check the news. I check the news for my show too, but I check to see what's going on in the world and I'm done. I never watch the news on television. I don't want to sit there and have that coming at me. And there are movies that I have no interest in seeing because I find them disturbing and depressing, and I don't want to watch depressing, disturbing movies. I mean, on occasion I find something interesting that's like it's sad or whatever, but there are people who just get, just do things that are not making you happy. And that can be whatever it is. Whatever it is that doesn't make you happy, stop doing that thing. Do something else. There are people who are pretty much disconnected from social media, and they have a lovely life playing instruments and doing art and reading books and getting together with friends and traveling or whatever. And then there are people who put social media and the internet and all the passive viewing stuff in a proper setting. And some people will listen to my show. They won't care what I look like or say, and they'll be cleaning their house. And if I help them clean their house, that's pretty cool. They're getting their house clean, but I keep them, distracted so they don't just think, here I am cleaning my house. Some people put music on for cleaning. Some people put me on, so I think you have to make your choices, what works and what doesn't work, and stop doing things that don't make you happy. It's not a requirement, and it's not a requirement to get in fights. And that's one of the sad things. People come on social media, they'll go on into chat rooms, and they'll go with the comment section on YouTube, and they will get in fights with people they do not know. If you don't know them, you should care less what they think. It just makes no sense to me. So if the people are giving good comments and you're finding it interesting, fine. If you give a comment and somebody says, "Oh, that's really interesting," that's fine. But if it's just going to be nastiness all over the place, why are you even doing that? What's the purpose of it? Because the only place is being seen is right there, and nobody gives a crap in the rest of the world about what happened in the message section on YouTube. So. You tried cleaning and doing dishes while listening to you, but I couldn't concentrate on anything. But you, well, in that case, maybe that doesn't work. Thank you very much. Thank you. I've been watching lawyer channels that analyze court cases and watch trials live. A lot of people really find that fascinating. I find it too slow for me, but so I don't do that. But I do know a lot of people really enjoy that because it's interesting to see how they present cases and how the witnesses. I see why people watch them. So, you need visuals, okay? But I only half-assed do visuals, but I that's why I do like YouTube. I can include visuals where some podcasts there's just no visuals at all. But some people like that better because they don't think they need to look at the visuals, so they can listen in the car and they don't think they're missing something. So yeah. You're moderate. Oh, that's interesting. For a journalistic advocate. Huh. That's interesting. Yeah. Well, that's a lot of work. That's very sweet. Two kinds of people in the world, those who make it a better place and those who don't. You're part of group number one. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And really, if it's a group that's not making your world better, or person, and if I'm the type of person that I've had people come and say, "Oh, Pat, I find you really annoying to listen to," and I'm like, just turn me off. You don't like me. There's people who I can't listen to. Even if they're saying interesting things, I don't like their voice, or they talk too slow and I get bored, or they, whatever. Some people say, I don't like your tangents, Pat, and I don't like your silly stories. Well, then you probably need to be at a different channel because you're not enjoying being at my channel. And if you're not enjoying it and you're not learning here, just find someplace else. It's YouTube. It's free. At least, for people watching, it's free. It's a heck of a deal. But just go find somebody who you find is more appealing to you, and wherever you go, there are going to be those people over there who didn't like that person will come over here, and vice versa, because we all have different tastes, and so opinions vary. Oh, aren't you nice? I appreciate that. But I do talk too fast, and I admit that. All right, let's see what time I've got. All right, let's see what else I was going to talk about. Because I got a bunch of things. I don't think I'm going to get them in. I'll probably just move them till next week, because somebody asked me to talk about. Well, I got to see what this is. Oh, okay. I do want to talk about this. Shocking accusations. Cultist who Delphi defense blames for ritualistic murders breaks silence after being accused of Snapchat killings. All right. I did a thing on Richard Allen and Delphi, thinking that Richard Allen, I think it's going to be hard to convict him, even if he's guilty, because from what I see online, I'd say there's a huge number of people who think that these Odinists killed the two girls, Abby and Libby. And they think the police are corrupt. They think Richard Allen was a patsy. I'm not saying they're wrong, but I'm just saying that they're so adamant about it before the case has gotten to court. And a lot of things they're believing are things that are not necessarily so. One person came in and he gave me this very long story about how this Odinist group, 4 guys, there's one of these is, let's see, one guy is a Messer. And what happened is there, let me read a little bit from this. Allen was arrested in October 2022 after an unspent 40 caliber round was discovered at the crime scene that was allegedly determined to have been cycled through a handgun he owns. And that's going to be tool mark evidence, and some people think it's junk science, but that's what the defense is going to say. But in various interviews with police, Allen also admitted to being in the vicinity of the murders on the day Libby and Abby were killed, wearing almost identical clothing. And also he confessed to his wife, and there's a number of other things. And I think we haven't seen everything yet on Allen. Do I think at this point in time, do I think it's Allen? Yes, I think they have the right guy. And one of the things I think is ridiculous is that people will claim he's a patsy because they wanted to close the case. And I'm going to say they have way better people to make patsies than that guy. I mean, you got, what's his face? Keegan Kline, a pervert sitting down there. He was arrested. You already got a guy arrested for being a pervert online. Hey, stick it on him. I mean, a lot of people thought Keegan Kline did it. You got Ron, the dead guy, the girls were on the edge of his property. A lot of people thought Ron did it. Well, he's dead. He's a good patsy. And the Odinists, oh, for goodness sakes, if this defense team, which put out 136-page filing detailing all the Odinists and how they're all connected and how there were confessions made and how they ended up killing the girls. 136 pages of this. If that were true, if the police found these 4 guys they believed they killed these girls, well, hey, go after them. I mean, you don't go after a guy who doesn't have a record, who works in a store in the local town, a married guy with a kid. You know what I mean? He's not your number one. Hey, let's pin it on him. You pin it on somebody everybody already doesn't like, already suspicious thereof. Ron Logan, people are suspicious. Keegan Kline, people are suspicious. Tony Kline is dead. People are suspicious. The Odinists, yeah, sure. But they didn't. They picked this guy. Why? Because they want to close the case down. Yet there are good reasons to believe that it is Richard Allen. But I've been blasted with people saying you obviously didn't do your homework. You don't know about the Odinists, blah, blah, blah. But you know where they're getting all their information from is from the defense team. They have a 136-page filing. I've read it. All kinds of details of things that I cannot verify. So-and-so said this to somebody. This person was in the area. This person could have been in the area. I can't verify the stuff that's in this defense claims because they're trying to get the case kicked out. So they're trying to say they didn't look at the proper suspects. That's what they're trying to say. It's that guy, not this guy, defense. And you didn't look at this guy properly. Therefore, you've destroyed any chance of finding out that this guy really did it. Therefore, our client should be let go. That's done quite often these days. But these people are reading only the defense, this 136-page report, and they're believing that everything in that report is accurate. And therefore, the Odinists killed Abby and Libby and and Richard Allen is just a patsy. And I say at that point, if you've only read the defense, wait till it goes to court. But what concerns me is the fact that the way people believe these things so quickly from a defense team shows me that when they roll in court, all you need is 1 out of 12 to be one of these kind of people. And that case is going to be doomed. And I don't know what the prosecution is going to present. Maybe their case is weak, but I don't know if it's weak because they haven't presented the case yet. If the case is weak and they find him not guilty, I understand that. And if I listen to it and go, geez, I wouldn't convict him, that's fine. My concern is that people believe a whole bunch of nonsense and that's why I don't believe in the public jury system. For that exists citizen jury system, because I'm seeing this already. If those people are selected to be on a jury, I can guarantee you half of them are going to say it's odious from the day they walk in, and they'll believe anything the defense tells them. So I think if Richard Allen is guilty, unless that prosecution has a really great case, I mean, they better have one hell of a case. I don't think they can overcome this kind of thinking. So, well, that's pretty much correct, Sarah. Yeah, the prosecution said nothing. They have a gag order, and the defense has their entire narrative out, which shouldn't be allowed, but it is. And they also leaked stuff too. They leaked the photos and everything to bolster their defense before that should be illegal as hell. I mean, because they're contaminating the jury pool. But yeah, but that's a good point, Kurtz. Or is it not that weak, so the defense team has to make stunts like this? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know which way it goes. Sometimes defense teams that's what they do anyway. I thought that, certainly Casey Anthony in spite of what everybody says, I think the prosecution did a perfectly reasonable job. And I think it was clearly premeditated homicide. I absolutely believe that she medicated her child and then put the tape over her mouth and nose so she would die. I don't believe for minutes she had any reason to put tape over her face unless she was killing her. So I think that everything in that case was, to me, pointed at Casey Anthony. I was never so stunned when they found her not guilty. But Jose Baez just threw a bunch of crap at the wall, and it worked. And I think they're throwing crap at the wall in this case. Whether the prosecution has a good case or not, I don't know. But it's just become a way that seems to be the new methodology of the defense teams. So I would like everything to just get much more proper, and I'd like to see I would like to see a lot less of this in the public eye, even though I'm here talking about him. So that was an interesting one. And then, okay, let's see who I was asked about. Where is he? This guy. He was a 11-year-old boy who was accused of killing his stepmother, and he is now exonerated. Let me find it. Hold on. Now I can't find that one. Where are you? Where are you? Tell me his name, somebody. Wait a minute, I have it listed here. I think I have to pull the page back up because it disappeared. Jordan Brown. Okay. Some reason Jordan Brown went missing. I thank the person who said it's not you all the time, Pat. Sometimes it's technology. Yes, technology, for sure. So he was just, he was found. This happened. He was charged at 11 years old as an adult in the fatal shooting of his father's fiance. And that's her with her 2 children. And this is Kenzie Houck. And this happened in Pennsylvania. He was interviewed. Anyway, he was tried as a juvenile found guilty. However, until 2013, they vacated the finding of delinquency. And let's see, wait a minute, hold on a second. And then in 2018, they overturned his conviction. In a 5-0 decision from the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, I thought that was incredible. 5-0. And usually I'm pretty happy when you have a group of people. I'd love to know. I couldn't find the whole case. I can't say what they saw, but supposedly what they said was the justices attacked the evidence as insufficient and said that the juvenile trial evidence pointing to a shotgun in Brown's bedroom as the murder weapon supported an equally reasonable conclusion that it was not the murder weapon. I keep wondering whether they got a lot of pressure. Okay, so did this guy kill her? Okay. In my opinion, the evidence does point to him. And just because he's 11 years old, some people say, oh, he couldn't have done what he did at 11. Oh, yes, he could. Definitely. And the fact that it could be some other weapon, but let's ignore all the other evidence. That's one of those weird things. So anyway, it says here, Kenzie was 8 months pregnant when she was shot in the back of the head while she was sleeping in bed in their Western Pennsylvania farmhouse. Both she and her unborn son died as a result of the attack. The 4-year-old daughter alerted nearby tree cutters roughly 45 minutes after Jordan Brown and Houck's 7-year-old daughter got on a school bus. And the prosecutor said that Houck was killed by a youth model Harrington and Richardson 20-gauge shotgun, a Christmas gift to Jordan from his father. They found a spent shotgun shell near the path Brown walked with Houck's older daughter to get on the school bus. Unless they planted it again, why is there why is a shotgun shell there? And supposedly, I think it was a 7-year-old, saw him toss something out of his pocket while he was walking on the way to the bus. So the shotgun was cleaned, and his fingerprints were not found on it, but there was his shotgun. And he supposedly was pissed off at the stepmother and wanted to do her in, and I'm giving a short version here, and shot her, and then put the shotgun back, and then went to school. The defense this was the defense, what they came up with, that the police didn't investigate properly her ex-boyfriend, that he could have come, she had a restraining order at one time, and he could have come over and killed her. Well, he could have, except for the fact that the police went to his place and they found his car hadn't been moved. There was like snow on it or something, and he had no gunshot residue on him, and he was nowhere near there. So, and how did he get in the house? I mean, all those kind of things. It's like all of a sudden he just showed up at that moment in time. They're making up a suspect. So other than that guy who supposedly had nothing to do with it, who the heck would just go in and shoot her in the back of the head and walk back out again? Not steal anything? No. So there was a lot more to the story, that when you actually look at the information, there was supposed gunshot residue on the boy's shirt. And I think there was a couple other things. The footprints, there were supposedly no footprints noticeable going into the house. It's a whole bunch of stuff, but you have to go back to looking at early appeals to find out any of the other information about this kid. And he'd just been practicing with that shotgun or rifle. What was it? Sorry, I forgot what it was. Yeah, shotgun. He had been at a turkey thing that weekend, so he knew how to use it. He had to practice with it. It was in his room. They say he took a blanket and covered it up so he could walk downstairs with it, and then he shot her, and then came back upstairs and put it back, and then went to school. And they said he had behavioral problems. There's all kinds of issues in his life which show that he might have the ability to do this kind of thing. But supposedly they exonerated him based on the fact that another gun could have been the gun, but we'll ignore all the other information and evidence, and then the shotgun shell on the way to the bus stop. Originally, also the sister said, she heard something. She heard the shot, and now supposedly later on she said she didn't. So they're saying, oh, he got convicted just on her testimony, and that's just not true either. So this, and if you look at the Innocence Project, you will hear the only thing that put him in was a testimony of the little girl. That's the only thing, and that wasn't the only thing. So a jury heard this, found him. I mean, I don't know how was this? Was jury trial? How was this? Because he was only 11. I'm not sure how this worked. He was tried as a juvenile. Found. Oh, that's interesting. He was initially charged as an adult because that's required in Pennsylvania homicide cases. But then the Attorney General's office took over the prosecution of the case after he'd spent more than 3 years in juvenile detention facility while they deliberated his status. He was tried as a juvenile and found guilty of being delinquent by a judge in 2012. It's very confusing, but it's another Innocence Project thing. And I find again that there seems to be no reason why somebody just would pop in and shoot her in the back of the head. It wasn't the dad. He'd already gone to work. The ex was nowhere near there. So you would have to have a complete stranger just walk in there, shoot her in the head, and walk out. For what reason? And she was shot with a shotgun. So the guy brought a shotgun that was like the shotgun that was already in the house in the boys' room. And that same guy, after he shot her, somehow managed not to leave footprints. But hey, he goes out. There's a lot of arguments over the footprint issue. He goes out and he takes that same shell and knows which direction the boy walked to the bus stop and dropped the shell where it would be found to blame on the boy. I mean, some of this makes no sense. And I haven't done a deep dive into this. It would take a lot of work, but somebody asked me about it. And again, I think that what bothers me is that it's very hard to find actual information on the case because you just get 10 pages of the Innocence Project. And that drives me nuts because it's like, okay, maybe he is innocent, but can we get the details of what was the actual prosecution case? Give us all those details and, and let it be a 50-page thing on that. And then this is the defense case. But when you just see that the defense says this one thing, and yeah, I think it was kind of amazing that the five out of five said, well, it could have been a different gun. Therefore, I don't know if it's political pressure or what, but I would like to see the entire statement besides just it could have been a different gun that accidentally was just like the gun. It's like, what are the odds? So, but yeah. Although shotguns and rifles are not on a lot kids often will have those. They should not. Well, here's another thing. It wasn't locked up. It should have been locked up. I mean, just that's just to be safe. It should be locked up. I totally believe in a gun case. Gun safe. You put everything in a gun safe unless you're going to plant. Are using it. I mean, if you think it used to be they used to put the gun over the door, so in case you heard noise outside, you grab the gun. That makes sense. But when you got a kid in the house who has issues, and he did have issues, this is not, unless the kid is 100% safe and you absolutely know it, even then, probably shouldn't leave the damn gun out. There's no reason to leave the shotgun in a location where he can access it during the day. There's zero reason for this. Just even prevent accidents. There's zero reason for that. Especially, it's like, is he protecting the house? Unless he is the protector of the house. That's why the shotgun is there. Yeah. So no justice in that case, likely. Now here's a little different case, which I think the police were perfectly reasonable in this, and people are getting upset about it. There was a kid. I think I do have a picture of that, unless I lost that picture. Is that a real picture loss? I didn't put that picture up. I'm looking for it. Yep. I screwed up on one. Just one. I can't find it. It was showing the kid and the cop there. But he find it. Where are you? Here we go. There's a body cam on this. Ohio police released body cam video of an officer shooting a 15-year-old boy who families say had a toy gun. Police in Akron, Ohio released video of an officer shooting a 15-year-old boy who was holding what the family says was a toy gun. The video shows that the teenager was struck seconds after the officer ordered him to put his hands up. He was shot in the wrist. The gun looked just like a real gun. All right. Now, what happened? Now, there was I don't remember the one kid. Who was I forgot the name of the kid now, but he was shot by the police and killed because he was running around with a fake gun. And a lot of people say, well, we used to always run around with fake guns, all over the place. But back then, if you're going back in those days, either they didn't look like real guns or kids weren't shooting people, so nobody really worried about it. And now the problem is even fake guns they take real guns and make them look like fake guns. I've seen a gun that looks like Legos and it's a real gun. And some people will take a gun and then paint it to make it look like a toy gun when it's a real gun. So the problem is you can't run around the neighborhood with something that looks like a gun. Now, what happened here was a woman called the police claiming she had seen a black male. Okay. And this is one of these things where this is not police racism. A woman in the neighborhood saw she gave a description of the child. He's 15. He's still a child, but a teen. Claiming she had seen a black male pull out a gun and start pointing it at houses in the area of Tonawanda Avenue and Newton Street. Now, what do you do if you see a kid running around pointing at windows of houses? There's children in there. There's people in there. Wouldn't you be terrified if some kid was running around, looked like he was going to start shooting out windows? I'd be pretty freaked. So anyway, he was a responding officer. He found the person later identified by his family as Tavion several blocks away in the area and fired a single bullet that struck him. He was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injury, which is a good thing. He didn't get killed. The attorney for the family says, Tavion is heard multiple times saying, "It's a fake. I just wanted to be safe." Adding that at no point was that toy gun pointed at anyone's home, except this woman called because she saw a guy pointing the gun at the house, at any individual, and certainly not a member of the Akron Police Department. So the question here comes down to Tavion, he screamed, "It's fake, it's fake." Okay, but there's no way the police can know if that's a fake gun or it isn't a fake gun. And he says, "I wanted to be safe." Now, why did he want to be safe, supposedly? Okay. It's a guy shot in the hand. He said, "Police officer, I'm a good kid. Bro, I get A's in school. I play football. I just want to be safe. My cousin just died. He just came from his cousin's funeral. I'd like to know if the cousin was shot." So the problem here comes down to the fact that it's the parents' responsibility to teach their children you cannot run around the neighborhood with fake guns. It is dangerous. It does not keep you safe. I don't know if he thought he could point it at somebody who might be maybe a bully or something, and he could point the fake gun at him and feel safe. I don't know. But that's a parental responsibility. And if you do not step up to the plate and keep your child from doing dumb stuff like that, they might end up getting shot by the police because the police do not know if it's fake. And it looked like he was a threat to the public. And these days, a lot of kids are a threat to the public. And do you want to wait till he shoots out a bunch of windows and kills people inside the house? No, because you have to protect the public. And if somebody's running around with something that looks like a gun, that's your job, to make sure they don't use that gun. And there's no way you can know it's fake until after the fact. That's a parent's responsibility. So they should know. And the parents, they get a lawyer and they want to blame the police for this. Hey, it's your fault. It's 100% your fault. I don't know if your kid's a good kid or not, but his ideas are not quite correct. Running around with a fake gun is not quite the right thing to do to keep safe. So, yeah. Well, he wasn't playing with it. He claimed that he was trying to keep safe. And I say maybe his cousin got shot. Maybe he lives in a rough neighborhood and he thought that I don't have a real gun, but if I get a fake gun, I can scare people with it and it'll keep me safe. He might have a reasonable point. It doesn't mean he can do that. And I don't know where his parents were as far as having discussions with him. It may be that the parents have been busy and they're not paying any attention to what their kid is doing, who the kid's hanging out with, what trouble he's having. Is he being bullied at school? Is he afraid? Or is it just that his cousin got shot and he says he's a good kid? Well, I don't know. Just because he says it doesn't mean it's true. It could be a really nice kid who did something really stupid and got himself hurt. Or it could be a guy who deals drugs. Don't know. So, but that was just an interesting one. So one more. Let's see which one more I want to do. I think I got almost too hard to do right now. So I think I'll just talk. I just want to mention this one because I think this is just really, I've mentioned this kind of thing before, but this is an Idaho teen. This is very scary stuff, actually. I don't need a picture for this one, so I can't be wrong on this. An Idaho teenager was arrested and accused of planning to kill churchgoers during services across his hometown in the name of the Islamic State group. Alexander Scott Mercurio, 18, was arrested as part of the FBI's Joint Terrorism Force. He is accused of attempting to provide material support and resources to ISIS. They said he was actively planning to attack churches, more than one, Sunday in Coeur d'Alene, I guess that's how it's pronounced, a town 30 miles east of Spokane, Washington, using weapons, including knives, firearms, and fire. A statement said the attack was timed to coincide with the end of Muslim holy month of Ramadan. All right. According to the message sent to FBI confidential human source, quoted a lengthy affidavit attached to it where he set out his plan in detail. Stop close by the church, equip the weapons, and storm the temple. Kill as many people as possible before they inevitably disperse or scatter. Then burn the temple to the ground and flee the scene. He had a plan. He was going to repeat this for 21 churches. He'll face up to 20 years in prison if convicted. Now, the real question is he really ISIS? Is he really part of a terrorist group? And my answer to that is no. And this is what people get confused about. As part of their investigations, prosecutors said they met with Mercurio in person and heard him express support for ISIS. Just because he supports ISIS doesn't mean he is a soldier for ISIS, okay? When you're talking about terrorist groups, terrorist cells, that usually means that people are actually trained and they're part of a specific group. They're trained. But here's what you call a single psychopath looking for something to do. So he expressed support for ISIS and outlined his plan to incapacitate his father with a metal pipe. So you see, he's going to start with that. Restrain him and then take his firearms and attack a local church. His plan grew more precise as he eventually identified the church and date on which he planned to attack, adding that he had pledged his allegiance to ISIS and he was prepared to die while killing others on its behalf. Now, mind you, I don't even think he's Muslim. Let's see. They found an ISIS flag, butane canisters, lighters, handcuffs, a knife, a pipe, and a machete at his house during his arrest, and several firearms that did belong to his father, which he planned to take. Mercurio also spread ISIS propaganda online. ISIS wasn't just because you spread propaganda doesn't mean that anybody told you to do it. And discuss ways to support the group financially as well. To support the group financially. He was looking for ways to support them, as well as traveling to West Africa to help its operations there. Again, I don't see that ISIS is saying, come to West Africa to work for us. I see him with his own little mind plotting this thing because he wants to be somebody like every other mass murderer. He wants to be that special person. He wants to be remembered. Thank God he didn't do anything. Because everybody's got that little manifesto. And when people say it was a racial thing or it was a religious thing, a lot of times it isn't. A lot of times it's just one whack job, one psychopath who has to hang his hat on something, come up with some reason to kill. And he'll either make it up or he'll develop it. And still, it's just he just wants to commit the mass murder. But it's nice to have a fancier whole goal that you can stick to it. They became aware of him during an investigation into a fundraising network that uses cryptocurrency and other platforms to support ISIS in Syria. Okay, but they found that Mercury and at least 3 other suspects who were not identified were financially supporting somebody. Well, probably online. Probably never met the guy. He was in a chat room with fellow ISIS supporters. Again, that's not a cell. That's a bunch of stupid people, usually teenagers, who are all going online and saying, yeah, we should do, whatever. And he had ISIS ideology. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Here's where I can tell. This is what I'm saying. He's not really ISIS. He also had far-right terrorist materials. Wait a minute. Investigators also found on his school-issued laptop documents relating to ISIS ideology, but also far-right terrorists such as mass murderer Anders Breivik. Anders Breivik, he shot up a whole bunch of kids on an island, right, in Europe. He was never ISIS. So he'll pick, that's cool. He said his parents weren't fond of what he was planning, his path. So he said, I'm a hypocrite who has not even spat in the face of a kafir? Is that what it is? Yeah, non-believer, or donated a single penny in the cause of Allah, let alone spilled the blood and introduced terror into their hearts and minds. He said, okay, he's a hypocrite. He actually haven't done it. Actually hasn't given any money. So he's being charged with terrorism and attempting to support ISIS' mission of terror and violence. And see, here's what certain groups like. They like the fact that there's nut jobs out there. That if they just have information out on the internet, that these guys will find that information and develop for themselves a lone wolf mass murder. It has nothing to do that they actually recruited him. It's just that they'll find that information. And therefore you can just sit back and say, well, it's all on the internet. Let's see who shows up and takes the information and runs off with it and makes it their own. So self-radicalization is what they're calling it here. This case should be an eye-opener to the dangers of self-radicalization. And again, are they really being radicalized or just using that as an excuse to kill? And it's really not, it really isn't something they believe in. A lot of psychopaths, unless that psychopath is part of a particular location where there's wars going on and they've been involved in all this stuff, they've become part of a group. Yes, then they actually have they are recruited and they grow up in it and then they represent that group. But this self-radicalization basically means that you found something that gives you the right to do something bad. But they need to put that guy away. But hopefully they will realize the guy is a psychopath. And if they let him out, 5-10 years from now, he might decide to change to something else and then commit some mass murder for some other stupid reason. So I thought that was just interesting. What was this one? Some a-hole shot 3 Swedes during a football match in Brussels. Own initiative, and ISIS accepted him as their warrior. Yeah, once he's already done it, you're like, He's one of ours. It's like, never met him, never talked to him, but one of ours. Photos show him dressed in black and posing in front of an ISIS flag. Lots of wannabes out there just inspired by, right? Inspired by. Just as guilty. Yeah, absolutely. The point being that if you're what they're inspired by does not matter. And people argue about that so often. I'm trying to remember back now because I know people disagree with that. The shooter in Texas, the guy was in the military and the army, and it was believed it was a terrorist attack. He went and shot down a bunch of his mates, and I said it was not a terrorist attack. It was a midlife crisis, mass murder. And they had some proof that right when he was getting close to doing it, he was like talking to people on the internet. That didn't make him part of that terrorist group. It was his excuse as he was getting ready to wipe out his friends because he felt he was being disregarded as he wasn't succeeding to move up in that world. And he had some issues that he was being, essentially he was not happy with his army life. And he just wanted to go kill people. And he decided at the last minute, hey, I'll do it for a cause. I think he was Muslim. So, at least he found a cause that matched him. This kid, I don't even know what this kid is. Probably his dad went to one of those churches. So it's like, oh, goodness. Yeah. Fort Hood. Thank you. Fort Hood shooter. Yeah. But, they say everybody was trying to say this was a terrorist attack. And I'm like, no, it's not really. And there's even, there's a bunch of things I'll have to do. I'll get to that. But a lot of times what is considered a terrorist attack is not. It's simply a personal attack with a label on it. But when you see a terrorist attack, then there's no question. What just happened in Moscow? That's a terrorist attack. 9/11, terrorist attack. I'm not going to get into all the theories about the U.S. behind it. I'm not going to get into that. But when you see a group of people with that plan out of a whole big attack, that's a terrorist attack, especially when they come from some specific group that is trying to make a political point. That's what most terrorist attacks are about, political points. So, but somebody who just one guy in the middle of nowhere decides he's going to shoot up a bunch of people or stab a bunch of people and then claim he's attached to some group, he's not really making a political point. He's just cloaking himself in some terrorist rhetoric. And so those are two different things. And sometimes the results are both bad. Oh, here's the real point behind it is when you're worried about terrorism, you have to look for active cells, really active cells, because those will develop something that, you want to shut those down. A single psychopath, a lone wolf guy, how are you going to shut them down? That's very hard to do because they're just, they're not really connected. They're not part of some terrorist army. They're just them, and they're much more difficult. So you have to look at these two things in two different ways. One is you got to, if the psychopath says things at school, at home, they need to do something about him. But for terrorist cells, that's when you need the whole government thing where they, doing all the investigations because they have to shut down terrorist cells before they commit terrorist crimes. There's a whole different thing about investigations, essentially. So anyway, okay, so that's it for today. I will see you this weekend on whatever I decide to do for this weekend, which I have no clue yet. And I'm glad that streaming actually worked. I do hope Ken Maines gets his channel back, if that's what he wants. I don't quite understand what happened there, but it would be, I like to have a little bit of variety out there. I do. And I hope there'll be some new people in the future who do good channels so sometimes I can point people to those people to see what, especially if they're doing a case I'm not working on, there might be something they're doing or they're doing some aspect I'm not doing. I can point them in that direction. And that's good. So anyway, thank you for being here. Well, thank you very much. I'm so ill prepared for Hangouts. I do a lot of research for Hangouts, gathering up the things and finding out what you all want to just talk about. But it's not the same thing as, on the weekend I do focus in on one particular crime. But I like the Hangouts because there's so many interesting things happening. It's like, what about this and what about that? And yeah, they're more like news items, but something to talk about besides just the fact they exist, but something interesting about each one of the news items that strikes me. And so if I didn't get to it this week, whatever you sent over, I'll try to get to it next week. So anyway, thank you for being here. And if you're new to the channel and you're still here, please do like and subscribe. Keep me going, and let's hope I don't have Ken Lane's bad luck. See you later. Bye.